General Hospital will reveal on a sweltering day in Port Charles, the complex love triangle between Drew, Nina, and Willow has become the talk of the town. Drew Quartermaine, the man once known as Kane and now a congressman, is pulling no punches as he finds himself entangled in this messy relationship, revealing a darker side of his personality that few anticipated. With cold eyes and a sardonic smile, Drew is deliberately mocking Nina Reeves at every opportunity. He portrays her jealousy as a malicious obsession, a mental affliction as she witnesses him growing closer to Willow Corinthos, none other than Nina's own daughter. Drew's caustic words are not only aimed at Nina but are being spread throughout Port Charles, painting a distorted picture of the woman who was once his lover. Loyal General Hospital fans should brace themselves for the sad developments to come. The rivalry between mother and daughter is on the verge of exploding into all-out war, and Drew seems to be gleefully fanning the flames of tension with every word and action. He revels in the sense of power he feels standing between the two women, knowing he's the center of attention and can manipulate their emotions. Things have heated up considerably since Willow and Drew shared an unexpected kiss, a moment no one could have predicted. That kiss ignited a series of events, pushing the relationship between the three into an inescapable vortex. Nina, with her bleeding heart, is extremely tense as she watches her ex-lover become increasingly entrenched in her daughter's life. Each time she sees them together, she feels as if a knife is being plunged into her heart. Drew isn't letting this situation pass quietly. On the contrary, he seems to relish Nina's pain. "You can't stand it, can you?" he might shout, with a smirk as Nina fumes. "Willow has something you can never have. My heart." It's a low blow, and Drew knows it, but he's playing this game like a pro, pushing Nina to the edge while Willow is caught in the middle of this emotional battle. The truth is far more complicated than it appears. Nina still deeply loves Drew, a feeling she can't easily shake off despite her efforts. It's for this reason that she doesn't want to tell Willow the truth about her past relationship with Drew. Not only because she fears losing her daughter's affection, a relationship she's spent years building, but also because she doesn't want Willow to know that Drew has been involved with both mother and daughter. In secret, Nina is looking for ways to get back with Drew. She's been struggling with the idea of revealing her relationship with Drew to Willow. On one hand, it would expose Drew's true face, but on the other, she risks losing her daughter. Nina has finally established a solid mother-daughter relationship with Willow, something she's dreamed of for a long time. The last thing she wants is to damage this relationship, but her love for Willow and desire for the best for her daughter and grandchildren might overcome everything. The situation becomes even more complicated as Nina and Carly Spencer, her arch-nemesis, have begun to form an unexpected alliance. Both want to end the relationship between Drew and Willow, albeit for different reasons. Nina has proposed a plan for them to work together, aiming to protect their grandchildren at all costs, even if it means driving a wedge between Willow and Drew. In a tense and revealing conversation, Nina presented her intentions to Carly, emphasizing the importance of family welfare. Nina was clear about her motives. She believes the relationship between Willow and Drew could harm the grandchildren they both love. She also played on what she perceived to be Carly's main concern, Michael Corinthos, by emphasizing the many ways Drew is trying to replace him in the children's lives. However, Carly was skeptical about this collaboration, given the history between her and Nina is more adversarial than allied. Despite Carly's doubts, Nina's persuasive argument about family unity seemed to resonate. Nina revealed that she could access Drew's new house, suggesting they could use this to their advantage. The plan? Possibly planting evidence that Drew is cheating on Willow. Meanwhile, Willow is not just a prize in this tug-of-war, she has feelings, and they're in turmoil. Drew's charm has captivated her, but Nina's breakdown is tearing at her conscience. Will she side with her man or try to mend the relationship with her suffering mother? And don't forget Michael Corinthos, he's recovering from a terrible explosion but could return at any moment. Drew's bitter criticisms of Nina could backfire, causing a rift between him and Willow if she learns of his cruelty. General Hospital fans are divided. Some on Team Drew, loving his ruthlessness, while others support Nina in her efforts to regain her daughter's favor. One thing is certain, this soap opera is about to get a lot messier as secrets continue to be revealed and relationships are tested to the breaking point. With the current situation, no one can predict the final outcome of this complex emotional battle. Drew has embarked on a calculated campaign to portray Nina as a green-eyed monster to anyone willing to listen. Throughout Port Charles, from the Metro Court to the hospital corridors, he paints her as consumed by jealousy and bitterness. His characterization of Nina has become increasingly vicious, describing her as a woman unhinged by the sight of her daughter finding happiness with the man she once loved. In private gatherings at the Quartermaine mansion, during business meetings at Aurora Media, and even during casual encounters at Kelly's Diner, Drew never misses an opportunity to emphasize Nina's supposed jealousy and desperation. The psychological warfare Drew wages against Nina is methodical and relentless. He deliberately flaunts his growing relationship with Willow in Nina's presence, making sure she witnesses their intimate moments, a touch of the hand at the hospital charity gala, a lingering embrace outside the Metro Court, a whispered conversation at the park where Nina takes her grandchildren. Each display is calculated to maximize Nina's discomfort and feed into the narrative he's creating about her jealousy. When Nina reacts with visible distress, Drew uses these reactions as further evidence of her instability, carefully crafting a public perception of Nina as unhinged and obsessive. This calculated attack represents a low blow from Drew, and on some level, he's fully aware of the cruelty behind his actions. Yet he persists, playing this emotional chess game with the precision of a grandmaster. His strategy involves isolating Nina by turning public opinion against her while simultaneously strengthening his bond with Willow. The psychological manipulation extends beyond mere words. Drew orchestrates situations where Nina appears at her worst, ensuring Willow witnesses these moments and further cementing the divide between mother and daughter. He positions himself as the reasonable party, the victim of Nina's supposed obsession, all while pushing her closer to an emotional breaking point. The truth that lies beneath this conflict is far more complex and painful. Nina still harbors deep, unresolved feelings for Drew. These emotions, which she has tried desperately to suppress, have resurfaced with agonizing intensity as she watches him pursue her daughter. The prospect of losing Drew permanently, especially to Willow, has triggered a profound emotional crisis for Nina. Her love for Drew, complicated by years of history and unresolved issues, has become a tormenting force in her life. Each time she sees them together, the pain cuts deeper, reopening old wounds and creating new ones. This lingering attachment has driven Nina to contemplate actions she would normally find unthinkable. In the privacy of her penthouse, surrounded by photographs of the family she's fought so hard to build, Nina has begun plotting ways to sabotage the relationship between Willow and Drew. Her schemes start small, arranging accidental meetings where she can interrupt their time together, dropping subtle hints to Willow about Drew's past relationships and their turbulent endings, questioning his motives in ways that plant seeds of doubt without appearing overtly hostile. As days pass and the relationship between Drew and Willow intensifies, Nina's tactics become more desperate and calculated. She begins investigating Drew's business dealings, searching for any impropriety or scandal that might diminish him in Willow's eyes. She reaches out to former associates and ex-lovers, seeking information that could be weaponized against him. Late at night, Nina can be found poring over financial records, social media accounts, and news archives, looking for anything that might serve her purpose. She even considers fabricating evidence of infidelity, though the thought fills her with shame even as she contemplates it. The emotional toll of this situation has left Nina in a state of deterioration that's becoming increasingly difficult to hide. Her professional life at Crimson Magazine has begun to suffer as her concentration wavers and her creative vision dims. Staff members exchange concerned glances as Nina arrives late to meetings, her appearance less polished than usual, her legendary attention to detail noticeably absent. In private moments at her office, Nina's composure crumbles entirely. She slams drawers shut in frustration, tears up drafts of upcoming issues, and mutters about betrayal and loss. The walls of her carefully constructed public persona are developing visible cracks. The tension between these three individuals has become so palpable that it affects everyone in their orbit. At family gatherings, friends and relatives find themselves walking on eggshells, carefully measuring their words to avoid triggering an explosion of emotions. The atmosphere grows heavy with unspoken accusations and suppressed feelings whenever Nina, Drew, and Willow occupy the same space. This tension has begun to affect even the children, who sense the discord without understanding its source, becoming more clingy and anxious in response to the emotional currents swirling around them. Nina's anger and hurt are transforming her into the antagonist in what should be her own life story. The woman who fought so hard to build relationships and create a family now finds herself cast as the villain, the obstacle to her daughter's happiness. This role reversal has created a profound identity crisis for Nina, who oscillates between righteous indignation and crippling self-doubt. In her darkest moments, she wonders if Drew is right, if her feelings are merely jealousy rather than legitimate concern for her daughter. The question that haunts Port Charles society is what Nina will do next. Will she succumb to her darker impulses and lash out at Drew directly, confronting him with the full force of her anger and hurt? Will she target Willow's happiness, sabotaging her daughter's relationship in ways that might prove unforgivable? Or will she find a way to balance the scales more subtly, using her considerable resources and connections to undermine Drew without appearing to be the instigator? The uncertainty creates an atmosphere of impending disaster, with friends and family bracing for an inevitable explosion. Whatever course Nina chooses, the outcome promises to be messy and potentially devastating for all involved. The emotional wounds being inflicted now may never fully heal, particularly if Nina crosses certain lines in her quest to separate Drew and Willow. Family bonds that took years to build could be permanently severed, friendships destroyed, and reputations irreparably damaged. The collateral damage could extend far beyond the immediate triangle, affecting business partnerships, community relationships, and even the well-being of the children caught in the crossfire. The psychological complexity of this situation reveals itself in the quiet moments, Nina staring at old photographs of herself with Drew, tears streaming down her face, Drew experiencing flashes of guilt when he sees the pain in Nina's eyes before hardening his resolve, Willow lying awake at night, troubled by doubts she can't quite articulate. These private struggles contrast sharply with the public performances each maintains, creating layers of deception and self-deception that grow more elaborate with each passing day. Willow stands at the epicenter of an emotional maelstrom that threatens to consume her carefully reconstructed life. Far from being merely a trophy to be claimed in the bitter struggle between Drew and Nina, she is a woman with profound emotional complexity, caught in a web of conflicting loyalties and desires that grow more tangled with each passing day. The turmoil within her has reached a fever pitch as she attempts to navigate the treacherous waters of her feelings for Drew while simultaneously processing the visible deterioration of her mother's mental state. The magnetic pull Drew exerts over Willow cannot be understated. His charismatic presence and unwavering support during her most vulnerable moments have created a powerful bond that transcends mere physical attraction. Since their unexpected kiss at the 4th of July celebrations that ignited this complicated situation, Willow has found herself increasingly drawn to his strength and apparent devotion. His congressional position adds an element of prestige and power that further enhances his appeal, creating a heady combination that has led Willow to make decisions that would have been unthinkable mere months ago, including her infidelity to Michael and taking Wiley to Washington, D.C. for Drew's inauguration without consulting her husband. Yet beneath this attraction lies a growing unease. Willow's conscience has begun to sound alarm bells as she witnesses Nina's emotional collapse. The woman who finally acknowledged as her mother after years of complicated history is now spiraling before her eyes, and Willow cannot escape the suspicion that her relationship with Drew is the catalyst. Each tear Nina sheds, each trembling accusation, each moment of visible heartbreak chips away at Willow's certainty about her choices. The maternal bond, so recently formed and still fragile, pulls at her with surprising strength, creating a counterbalance to Drew's allure. This internal conflict manifests physically in Willow, sleepless nights spent staring at the ceiling, moments of distraction during conversations, sudden waves of anxiety that wash over her at unexpected moments. Her appetite has diminished, and dark circles have appeared beneath her eyes as she wrestles with an impossible choice. Pursue her passion for Drew or preserve the hard-won relationship with the mother she's only recently come to know. The weight of this decision has begun to affect her interactions with her children, creating moments of distraction and irritability that further compound her guilt. Adding another layer of complexity to Willow's predicament is the looming shadow of Michael Corinthos. Currently recuperating from serious injuries, Michael represents not only her marital commitment but also stability, history, and family. Their shared children create an unbreakable bond that transcends their romantic relationship. Michael's potential return to full health and active participation in their family dynamic hangs over Willow like a sword of Damocles, threatening to shatter the new reality she's contemplating with Drew. The custody battle that has already begun further complicates her emotional landscape, as Michael's petition for divorce labels her an unfit mother and requests supervised visitation, accusations that cut to the core of her identity. What Willow remains blissfully unaware of is the devastating secret that could render all her agonizing irrelevant: Drew and Nina's previous intimate relationship. This bombshell, when it inevitably detonates, will transform her understanding of both relationships and force her to question everything she believed about both Drew and Nina. The betrayal will be twofold and all the more painful because of the trust she has placed in both parties. The revelation that Drew has been intimate with both mother and daughter will likely trigger a profound identity crisis for Willow, forcing her to reevaluate not only her romantic choices but her entire sense of self. Drew's increasingly vicious verbal attacks on Nina represent another potential fracture point in his relationship with Willow. His calculated campaign to portray Nina as consumed by jealousy and bitterness may temporarily serve his purposes, but should Willow discover the full extent of his cruelty, her perception of him would inevitably shift. The contrast between his gentle, supportive demeanor with her and his vindictive treatment of Nina would raise troubling questions about his true character. Willow's natural empathy and growing attachment to Nina would make Drew's behavior all the more difficult to reconcile with the man she believes him to be. The General Hospital audience finds itself similarly divided over this complex situation. A vocal contingent has rallied behind Drew, celebrating his ruthless pursuit of what he wants and his refusal to be bound by conventional morality. These viewers see in him a refreshing directness and admire his willingness to fight for Willow regardless of the collateral damage. Others have aligned themselves with Nina, sympathizing with her position as a mother watching her daughter make potentially self-destructive choices. This faction believes Nina's efforts to reclaim her daughter's affection and trust come from a place of genuine maternal concern rather than selfish manipulation. A third group has emerged that is critical of both Drew and Willow, questioning the decisions that led to the dissolution of her marriage to Michael. These viewers point to Willow's pattern of deception, hiding her kisses with Drew from Michael, concealing their sexual encounter, and making unilateral decisions regarding their children, as evidence that she bears significant responsibility for her current predicament. They view her as having abandoned stability and family commitment for an infatuation that resembles teenage rebellion more than mature love. As April 2025 unfolds, Port Charles braces for the inevitable escalation of this volatile situation. The revelation of Drew and Nina's past relationship hovers on the horizon, with speculation rampant about who will ultimately expose this explosive truth. Some believe Nina herself will finally gather the courage to tell Willow directly, while others suspect the information will come from peripheral characters like Ava or Maxie who are already privy to the secret. Regardless of the messenger, the fallout promises to be catastrophic and far-reaching. The coming weeks will test each character's resilience and capacity for forgiveness in unprecedented ways. Relationships that took years to build could be destroyed in moments of revelation, while new alliances might form from the ashes of betrayal. For Willow especially, the journey ahead will be transformative, forcing her to confront difficult truths about herself and those she loves most. The emotional landscape of General Hospital stands on the brink of seismic change, with aftershocks that will reverberate through Port Charles for months to come. As viewers eagerly await the next developments in this compelling saga, one certainty remains: the drama that unfolds will be messy, intense, and utterly captivating. The complex interplay of love, jealousy, betrayal, and family loyalty continues to drive this storyline toward its inevitable explosive conclusion, promising moments of heartbreak and revelation that will keep audiences riveted to their screen.